Hope you're doing well out there. We are live and alive today, Tuesday, the 8th of April. We have a cat. Let's jump into it today. What are we doing? Today, we are going to continue building our multiplayer cube. Really want to get into this. We're at a good spot. We'll do the very quick recap. I really do want to get into this today. So, sorry, I'm just going to faff around with this slightly. Marvellous. Right. So, we are building a multiplayer cube. The goal of this cube is that it is a 540 unpowered vintage power level. Whether we get to the height of unpowered vintage, we are still working out. The decks, our players are going to be drafting 40-card decks. They're going to be playing multiplayer in a 20-life format, aimed at 8 players drafting. How it's going to work is that the first round is going to be, you have 2 pods of 4. They will all play each other. At the end of that, the top 2 of each pod will play each other, and the bottom 2 of each pod will play each other. So you end up with the winner. You actually end up with an actual 8, because in the last round, it's the order everyone goes out is the order that they finish. We have our archetypes. We have Azorius Cast from Exile, Blue-Black Group Mill / Reanimator, Black-Red Madness, Gruul Impulse Aggro, White Selesnya, Watchwolves, Orzhov Control, Is It Blitz, Golgari +1 counters, Boris Feather Combat Tricks, Sultai Miracle Grow. So this is like the 6th episode, I think, on this now, maybe the 5th. I literally just put the number in, but I don't overly remember. We're in a good place, but we need to make some headway. We have already, we have our lands. Our fixing is pretty good. It's Shock, Surveyor Land, Fast Land, Dual Land, OG Dual Land. We have Triomes. We have Fetches. So very good mana base. What we've added, we have our gold signpost cards. And we have a full cycle of talismans. Again, fixing pretty good. So 4 multiplayer cards for each color. Talisman. That's where we are. We've then, I think last episode, so 2 episodes ago, we started adding our staples. So things like our white removal. So Palace Jailer, Condemn, like Final Showdown is a board wipe, that kind of stuff. We have our white interaction. We have our blue card draw. We have our blue counter magic. We have our black interaction. We have our black kind of bit of card advantage, etc. We have a black board wipe. We have our red card draw. We have our red interaction, just like red burn, staple things that you find in most cubes. We have our green ramp. And we have green naturalize effects. And then we have a little bit of colourless ramp as well. Standard things that you find in just general cubes. So our base is really good. It's a 540 cube and we've got 212 cards. Thank you, Daddy. This is going to go up quite a bit today. The thing we did yesterday is we have our conspiracies. I wanted conspiracies in this cube. Conspiracies are rad. We have some conspiracies in here. That's why we have some multiples of creatures. Like Llanowar Elves, we have a thing that makes Llanowar Elves. It's why we have 3 Nazgul, because there's cards that care about you having... Conspiracies are generally cards that care about you having multiples of a thing. That's why we have Gary clones. That's why we have 3 accumulated knowledges. Because you can play one accumulated knowledge, cast, and have Echoing Boon. You then get to copy it. Or double stroke for Ancestral Anger, so you can double it up, get another one. Ancestral Anger, a card that cares about multiples. We will probably have more multiples in here at some point in the future, but I think what we'll do, is once we're nearer the end, we'll work out what effects can be multiples, and then we'll go back and tighten this section up. Today, I want to go through and really start working on getting these sections filled. Really want to start getting the bulk of the cube in. So what we're going to do today is start filling in cards for specific archetypes. So at the moment, everything apart from the gold cards could go in any deck. Like any green deck could run a Llanowar Elves. Any blue deck could run a Accumulated Knowledge. Any red deck could run a Burst Lightning or a Lightning Bolt. We are now going to add more specific bits. Oh, she's snoring. I don't know if you can hear that. Go up to the camera. No. Lovely small cat. We're going to add more specific bits in for each of our strategies. So we have Scryfall on the left, this on the right. The first one, actually, we might just be going back to EDH Trick for specifically, because it is more built around the Vega archetype. Let's actually load up EDH Trick. Load in Vega. But yeah, we are going to add cards to the cube today. We're going to add a bunch of cards to the cube. The goal is to at least, we want to be starting to like have these feel more full. So we're really going to put in a bunch of white cards. So we'll start with white and we'll start going through. Yeah, that's the plan today. Ooh, so Harrier Hawk is on that just got printed. Maybe we could put in Harrier Hawk. But yeah, so we're going to put in a bunch. So we're going to do white first. What we're going to do is we're going to go down all of our archetypes. So we're going to find the white cards that specifically will go in Vega. Once we've done a couple of them, we're going to get the white cards that will specifically go in Watchwolf deck, then in the Control deck, then in the Feather Combat Trick deck. We're going to find the cards specifically for those archetypes. We're going to be a bit niche. Like if they overlap, awesome. We do want we do want them to overlap where possible. We want ideally cards go in multiple decks, but sometimes you need cards for specific decks. So that's kind of what we're going to be going down today. Like for example, if there's like a white card that casts from exile, there's also a combat trick for Feather, that's perfect for the deck. That's kind of what we're going to be looking at today. The cat is so sleepy. All right, so let's start going down. So most of the time we're going to be using Scryfall, but because this cast from exile deck is a little bit more niche, we're going to just have a quick look at Vega first. So we already have Doomscar, Great Board Wipe. Again, there's a bunch of blue cards here. We'll come back to them later. Right, Stoic Farmer. Here's an interesting one. So, also the other thing with this is we are going to be looking at we are going to be keeping an eye on curve. We don't just want to put like a bunch of 4-drops in. Generally speaking, we're probably going to want like one drop, 3 2-drops, and then kind of like tail off after that. So like we're only going to need like 1 4-drop, for example. Actually, let's just look at Foretell. Let's look at Foretell. We'll see what is in here for us. Foretell is a nice. We want specifically white. Sort by mana value. What have we got? Alright. Kaya's Onslaught. That might be pretty good. Again, it overlaps with some other things in the deck. 3 mana for an instant, give one and double strike on 10. That is a big combat trick. But you can cast it from exile. I think we like that. One thing that we are trying to do with this deck, with this cube, is make combat matters a bit more. Like we're going to be incentivizing people to attack. Right. As we mentioned, I don't think we want that. I think like so some top end with this looks quite straightforward. I thought there was more with Foretell from this set, or maybe it's more of a blue mechanic. All right. But Stoic Farmer, I think we will add. When Stoic Farmer enters the battlefield, let's actually open it up. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic playing card and reveal it. If an opponent controls more lands than you, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, put it in your hand. Then shuffle your library, and you can foretell this. This is multiplayer, so we can look at more commandery cards, which is pretty nice. Stoic Farmer get in, so that is 1 3-drop, 1 4-drop. We'll keep him. We will keep him in mind of that. That's a bit of interaction. That's quite good. Starheim Unleashed is actually a messed up magic card. Is this too strong? No, I don't think it's strong. This can just win games. But I think more 1-on-1. Maybe this is a good top end for this deck. So this is another 4-drop. So we kind of probably don't want many more 4-drops after we've got these 2 in. There is a thing with Foretell that you are kind of copying it over 2 turns, but that's fine. So we do want some more cheap things to do. That's important. Let's keep going down. Ooh, Giant Killer I don't hate. Because you cast a creature from exile after you've done it. That's not terrible. I think I like Giant Killer. It's also a 1-drop, which we do love. Oh, Plot's also pretty good. Plot is casting from exile, so let's look at some Plot stuff. That's not how you do that. There are only 4 white cards with Plot. That's weird. I think let's do Dust Animus. Dust Animus seems like a decent creature. Even Interrupter, when it enters the battlefield, exile target spell becomes plotted. Spells your opponent's cast from graveyards or exile cost 2 more to cast. Okay, there's probably some cool stuff we can do with that. Let's see what else. Let's go down. Let's see what else we have. If anyone's out there and you have any white cards that might be helpful, let us know. Ooh, Guardian Naga, interesting. So I do think we will want some adventures, actually. Let's have a look at Adventure, because I think Adventure just build around... That doesn't feel right. I know that there's a combat trick. There's also an adventure. Where are we? Yeah, Cheeky House Mouse. 1 mana, 2/1. Again, do want a bit of aggro. You want to kind of give cards to all archetypes, so aggro is an archetype. But target creature you control gets 1 until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures with power target. So it is also a little buff effect. That's going to be great in the Feather the Redeemed deck as well. We probably want Fairy Guide Mother as well. Fairy Guide Mother. Ooh, Heartfame Duelist is pretty vibey. I think maybe we'll come back to that. I do like that card. Where are we? What are our other archetypes in white? So we do want some control. So stuff like Giant Killer can be fine in a control deck. Whether we want Realm Cloak Giant, destroy all non... Do we want another board wipe? I think we only have 1 right now, so I think getting a more archetype-specific board wipe is probably a good idea. Silver Flame Squire, target creature gets +2/+2 till end of turn. But the creature's very anemic, if I'm honest with you. Virtue of Loyalty. This is a pretty beefy magic card. 2 mana, 2/2, make a Knight with Vigilance. That could be pretty good at like keeping the monarchy or something like that. Flush it in as a blocker, and then later at the end of your end step, plus on counter on each creature you control, untap this creature. So we're not doing anything with counter. Oh, sort of. Watchwolves is sort of not counters base, but it will like big things. Yeah, let's do Virtue of Loyalty. Marvelous. All right, let's go back to. Oh, I think I like Blessed Hippogriff. It's a 1 mana target creature gains indestructible in a turn. We are going to want that type of effect in this cube. Like, things that are... This is a good way of, like protecting your key creature. Like, there will be a lot of interaction around. The Boros deck in this will want ways of protecting its creatures. And then 4 mana... When it attacks target creature gains without flying, gains flying until end of turn. That will, just being able to jump like something will be quite strong. So let's get Blessed Hippogriff in here. Alright, now let's go back to the Vega and see what else there is. So Disturb is another way of casting from exile. That's pretty vibey. Ooh, Rebound. Oh yeah, there's so many cool mechanics that we need to look at. Let's do Rebound. Right. Do we want Ephemerate? I'm not sure we do. I do just like Ephemerate. Ephemerate even just in here is not already. The Ephemerate is pretty vibey. Just a very strong and good magic card. I think I like Artful Maneuver. Again, this is going to have more combat tricks than a regular cube, but that is on purpose. I want people to be interacting with the combat step. I think like making people do stuff in multiplayer, I think is kind of where we are with this, because this isn't just something that like isn't just I have to do this on my creature. Like you could do this on like part of multiplayer is you can combat trick your opponent's stuff, but you generally don't do it because you don't have combat tricks in your commander deck. But there is a nice little interaction that I think I kind of want in this. Right. So cool. So rebound, not a massive amount, but we have jumpstart foretell, not meow, darling. Keep going. Iron Verdict is a fine removal spell. Like we did already add some, but obviously like this is just the base stuff. Like we will be adjusting this for more synergistic bits. So I think Iron Verdict as a removal spell is pretty good. Hello, meow. Hello there. Hello. Tiny cat. Tiny cat. Meow. Don't worry, we have cat. Yes, meow. 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 That's a fine wink on. Pushing some damage through, but I think we can do better. Let's keep going down. Let's see what else we have. If that's it for this deck, then that's fine. We can look at some other stuff. Flashback is pretty good. I do like Serene's Reclamation, actually. I think it's just a nice bit of... It's just generally solid in a white deck. And in a white control deck as well would be pretty good. We have Aftermath isn't from Exile. Not sure about that one. Ooh, darling, hello. Good to see you. What's going on? Alright, just scratch the nice jumper. Alright. Enchantment. See if there's anything obvious or cool that we can be doing here. We don't want any... Like, this is not a Ghostly Prison format. That would just muck everything up. Alright. Cool, so I think that might be where we are. Ooh, Windbrisk Heights. That is casting a card from Exile, and it'll just go in any of the white decks, I think. Cheat something big in Windbrisk Heights. We can't have too many lands, so this is where we'll kind of start off, and we might have to adjust some of these a little bit later. But this is like a decent... Like, all of these would be fine in our white deck. They all kind of do they do the thing. That's all pretty good. Right, let's look at some beef now. So for Watchwolves, what do we want? We kind of want creatures with more power than toughness. So how are we going to do that? Let's go to white. Let's go to mana value is equal to 2. Power is equal to 3. This must... Oh, it does work. Marvellous. Alright, let's see what's interesting here. So again, we want stuff that can go in other decks. I think Cathar Commando is a decent utility creature that can also... Like I like the flash, and I like its ability to answer pesky artifact enchantment. I think that's a decent start. Cathar Commando, get in the cube, please. What else do we have? Ideally, we want some toughness on this thing as well. Ooh, Loyal Warhound isn't a terrible idea. When it enters the battlefield, an opponent controls more lands than you, search library for basic planes. Give white a little ramp boost. I lost my cat. If we were doing artifacts, Sanwell would be a pretty solid one, but we're not. Ooh, you're almost a Watchwolf. What else do we want? I mean, we looked at this earlier. Sorry, Shepherd of the Flock we considered earlier because it did have adventure. Target permanent you control to its owner's hand. No, I don't like that card. Sun God Sentinel slaps. When it enters the battlefield or attacks, takes up to one target card from a graveyard. Coven, 1 and a white. Choose a colour. Sun God Sentinel gains hexproof from that colour until the turn and can't be blocked by creatures of that colour until the turn. Activate only if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers. That's quite nice. Nice way of pushing some damage through to an opponent's deck. That's pretty good. This Unyielding Gatekeeper, kind of vibey. 2 mana, 3/2. When it's turned face up, exile another non-land permanent its controller. If you control it, return it to the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, its controller creates a 2/2 blue detective. So there's plenty of room for the kind of Oblivion Ring on creatures. Unyielding Gatekeeper, I don't hate. I think let's. I lost more cat. Let's get that there for now, and let's go up in mana. Let's go 3 mana, 4 power in white. What do we have? All right. What is this one? Faithbound Judge. 3 mana, 4/4. Defender, Flying, Vigilance. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Faithbound Judge has 2 or fewer Judgment counters on it, put a Judgment counter on it. As long as Faithbound Judge has 3 or more Judgment counters on it, it can attack or as it didn't have Defender. Okay. I don't hate this card, actually. The Disturb is also casting something from exile. Enchant player. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a Judgment counter on Sinner's Judgment. Then if there are 3 or more Judgment counters on it, enchanted player loses the game. That's kind of vibey. That seems like a pretty decent control win con, actually. Just draw out the game, put this on someone. I think I like that. It kind of... It's not fantastic in the Watchwolf deck, but it does do stuff in the control deck and does stuff in the Cast from Exile deck. That's pretty good. Okay, we like that. Do I want any of these battles? I'd be asked to work out what they do. Enter the battlefield, gain 4 life, and draw a card. I don't think we want battles. It's just going to... But I like battles. I think they're cool. But in this kind of multiplayer format, I think it just delays people killing each other. But we want people to actually get on with the damage. So let's do... I'm assuming we're going to struggle now with 4 mana, 5 power. Alex will come from green. Oh, no, hold on. All right. What do we have? Like, they're all walls. Or we have to champion a Kithkin or something dreadful like that. Ooh, the Hunted Lamassu. That could be quite funny. Didn't we think about the Hunted cycle? So it's a 4 mana 5/5, and when it enters the battlefield, target opponent creates a 4/4. That's kind of good in this. You have multiple opponents. I think I like that. Because you get a 4/4, and then you make a deal with someone to give that... Or you get a 5/5 flyer, you make a deal with someone to give them a 4/4. I don't hate that. I think that's kind of funny. It'll go in for now. This one might come out later. Let's just have a quick look how we're doing with numbers. So we've got 19 cards here. So let's just count. So 3 drop. Alright, I think we're short on 2... No, we have a bunch of 2 drops. It doesn't look too bad, actually. We are trying to just, again, keep a rough idea of curve. We will make some adjustments later. So let's do specifically some control cards now. I mean, are we just going to go Wall of... Where's Wall? Wall of Omens is what I'm after. Where are you? When it enters, draw a card. That will defend you. Whether that's good enough in multiplayer... I think this would be okay. It is furthering the control person's game plan, I guess. And I don't just want their deck to just be, like, removal. I don't just want them to just have board wipes. So I think let's do Wall of Omens for now. What else do we want? This is a bit more of a generic one, so I'm just going to look at my regular cube and see what I've got for the slower decks in that. I mean, Thraben Inspector is not... These aren't bad cards for those kind of decks. What is more control-y? Let's have a look. Ooh, Steel Seraph slaps. I don't think that's for this, but... No, nothing's immediately coming to mind. Alright, what do control decks want? They want the ability to filter through cards and answer their opponent's threats while gumming up the board. Let's have a look at First Strike. I think First Strike might be a decent way of kind of keeping the board in check. Oh, we need to get rid of this stuff. Let's just look at some good First Strike. I think First Strike goes in control decks just as a way of holding down the board. What do we have? Let's get some inspiration. I don't want effects that kind of like do stuff to the whole board. I think they're a bit miserable for this type of thing. Again, it slows people down. We don't want to slow people down. We want to incentivize people to attack somewhere else, I would guess. So, what does that mean? Was it Blade Splicer, maybe? Where are we going with this? Let's have a think. Wandering Emperor. That's pretty control-y. Flash. If someone attacks you... So, I think... power level spike point of view, this card is very strong. But in multiplayer, I don't think it's as strong. But just, it will... I like the fact that it can control... can exile a creature coming at you with Flash is quite nice. I think Wandering Emperor is probably a good shout. We don't want protection, do we? Let's have a look. Ooh, I do love a Fiend Slayer Paladin, but I don't think that's where we're going with this. I guess control decks don't actually have that many creatures. Brutal Cathar might not be a bad one, but actually there's not a world where I'm not introducing Daybound Nightbound to my cube, because Daybound Nightbound sucks. Actually, yeah. I want one of these effects. I want an effect where when it enters, you exile something. Enters. Exile. But I just don't want it to be Brutal Cathar, because Brutal Cathar is just annoying. So Skyclave Apparition is a pretty solid one. I like that it can answer anything, and they don't get the card back, they just get an XX. That might be pretty good. Skyline Apparition. Skyclave Apparition. Are we going Flicker Wisp? I don't think so. I don't think we're going Solitude, just from a power level point of view. Oh, I do love Fiend Hunter. That's a proper magic card. Should we add some more Monarchy? Monarchy is quite... Monarchy is quite control-y, naturally. Alright, let's just go to white. I think we're definitely fine adding Monarchy to the cube. I'm not sure where we are with Initiative. I like Court of Grace. Court of Grace is a great control card. For mana, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. If you're the Monarch, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying instead. That is just good. This is an insane card one-on-one. In multiplayer, it's probably not that broken, actually. It will just incentivize people to attack, which I'm all here for. Maybe Archon of Coronation as the top end might be quite good, actually. 5 mana, 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, Monarch, as long as you're the Monarch, that damage doesn't cause you to lose life. You can still lose the Monarchy, but you don't lose life. I think that's a pretty good top end, actually. I think I quite like that. So we've got 24 cards here. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. What other things that we want? So yeah, control is a bit tricky because this is going to use a lot more of the staple cards because there's like interaction and board wipes already in the staple cards. Let's actually. Let's actually have a look at the conspiracy sets. Let's see what they had. Conspiracy. Look at white. Let's see what they had. Let's do this by EDH rank so we get some good stuff. So, yeah, you kind of see that they were, so they had a big top end. We've kind of got that with Archon of Coronation. I like that. Then it's enchant creature, all damage we dealt to you is dealt to creature instead. That's kind of funny. Maybe we could lean into that. We have the battlefield of permanent cards to put there from your graveyard. That's all. Faith's Reward also quite funny. Yeah, there's a lot more vote stuff. I don't think I want to go voting just because that's a lot of cards and a lot of them aren't very good. We might look at land cyclers at some point just because I like them, but our mana's already pretty good in this. It's a lot of stuff with big butts to hold on to the monarchy is kind of what I'm seeing. Alright, let's ask this question. Firstly, can we spell the initiative? We can. Always the first part that screws me up. Do we want the initiative in this cube? I think I'm okay with the initiative. It is multiplayer. I think power level point of view, I don't think we go like Seasoned Dungeoneer. That card's just messed up. But White Plume Adventurer, actually, that's very strong. If those are options, actually. We are supposed to be looking at white cards right now. White Plume and Seasoned Dungeoneer are amazingly strong magic cards, but that's mainly one-on-one. In multiplayer, it's probably okay. The issue is all the white ones are great. I don't think we want... We could run the common ones. I don't hate that. Like, if we run the common and uncommon ones rather than all the rares. So you can still get a touch of the initiative without... So you can still play around with the initiative. I don't hate that, but I don't think... We will come back to initiative, I think. What else do we want? I'm just trying to think of good control cards. Yeah, you know what? Control is not my strong point. Let's do some combat trick stuff. So this is going to be a bit easier and a bit more fun. So let's start with Heroic in white. So this is going to be card specifically for this deck, so we don't want too many of these. But let's just do... Dawnbreaker Charioteers is a great card. Maybe cast a spell that targets it, put a counter on it. I guess I want them to just be generically solid. So like 3 mana 2/2 double strike. That will just go in more decks. Like... Yeah, I think we run Fabled Hero and Dawnbreaker Charioteers. Because I could see the control deck running a Dawnbreaker Charioteers as just a way of holding down the board. Like, 2/4 lifelink is pretty solid. I think I like that. Let's do Dawnbreak or Dawnbringer Charioteers. The easiest way to win this pre-release is you pick white, I believe is what the gimmick was. And Fabled Hero, 3 mana 2/2. Pretty good. Alright, let's actually go to the Feather, the Redeemed. The Redeemed commander that can see what stuff's in here. That's not Feather, you're Feather. Marvellous. So I know we're going to want stuff like this. Combat tricks that draw you a card. They're kind of the bread and butter. So Defiant Strike, phenomenal. +1/+0 and draw a card. Shelter, maybe. Target creature you control gains protection on the card of your choice and draw a card, potentially. Monastery Mentor. It's a bit of a curveball, that. Bit of a curveball, but it's incentivizing you to cast spells, which I think this deck will want, and Feather might want. Yeah, let's do Monastery Mentor. I like that card. Again, we can cut back later. Like everything we're putting in is going in a deck. I just want to make sure that we kind of cover everything. All right, what do you do? Also, again, sorcery spell a card from your graveyard this turn. If it spell doesn't target a creature you control, it costs 8 more to cast this way. That's a bit much. Okay, Leonin Lightscribe is quite fun. It doesn't have to go in just this deck. It can go in other decks that go instant sorceries. I think that's quite fun. Lightscribe. So we're on about 29, so we are getting to about the number that we want. I think we do want specifically more white cards that care about this kind of stuff. Right, we haven't talked about the most generic white bits of like Mother of Runes and stuff like Skrelv or the other Mother of Runes. Mother of Runes could just go in this. It is great in a control deck. It will help push some damage through. It is a 1-drop, more importantly. I think we can add Mother of Runes. Sun Titan as a top end I do also think is quite fun. Alright. It's stuff like this. We need a bunch of these effects. We already have some that kind of overlap with other parts of the deck, which is great. So stuff like Cheeky House Mouse, Fairy Guide Mother, Blessed Hippogriff. So like rather than running specifically Shelter or like Lauren's Escape, we're running cards that do synergize with other parts of the deck, which is good. That so like, oh yeah, Alpha Maneuver as a combat trick, Blessed Hippogriff as the interaction. I think that is good. So we have overlap. We like that. We'll probably just actually spend today on white, I think. Yeah, let's keep going with instants and stuff that... Ooh, Fighters 1 is a great one. Single white mana. Target human you control gains gets +1 and gains instructable intent of turn, and then target non-human creature you control gains +1 and gains instructable intent of turn. So a good little protection spell and also a double combat trick. As one, marvelous. Ooh, Apostle's Blessing probably should go in just as a colorless version of this. Target creature you control gains protection from the artifacts or from the color of your choice in end of turn. I think that's just going to be very solid. Alright, what we're going to do is we are going to add this in now and see where it is on, see how everything curves out. Nice little check. So there was 32 cards, so we're probably going to be around the 45 mark. I think we've got probably, where are we numbers and this kind of stuff? So we're going to want around the 60 mark in total. We're going to want about 20, yeah, about 28 of that to be creatures. So what do we have? This looks pretty... I tell you what, this actually looks pretty solid from a curve point of view, so we definitely need more 3s. So what are we looking at? So we have a decent amount of 1s. Our 2s are pretty solid, they're kind of buffed up by that Gary clone card. 3s are looking okay. We do need more 3s. 4s, we could... So the cheeky thing we can do with this is not a 4-mana creature. This is, in fact, a 1 mana instant. If we save that changes. Oh look, the curve is immediately much better. So we'll probably do that kind of stuff just to rejig. Kind of like how in Commander decks you try and cheese your curves to make them look a bit better. So this will be a 2-drop, this will be a 1-drop, so that kind of stuff. So I think, yeah, I think it's looking pretty good. There's a lot of 3s in removal, so I think it's basically we need some cheaper sorceries and some 3-drop creatures. Right. Good to know. Yeah. So it's curve wise. We're trying to make it curve out. We want the average CMC of every color to be 3. So actually, let's go in. So this is something when you're building a cube you do need to keep an eye on, and that's average CMC. Do you see it here? What? So currently it's 2.7 with a median of 3. So that's pretty good. That does include colorless cards. Let's go to table. Let's just go. So mana value by color category. So here's kind of this is effectively our curve. So you can see we have 0 1s. It starts 3% of the cube. So 9, 14, 12, 7, 2. So actually, this is kind of roughly what I kind of roughly sketched out at the start. So we have 9 1 drops, 14 2 drops, 12 3 drops, 7 4 drops, 5 or 2 5 drops, 1 6 drop, 1 7 drop. That's pretty good. So it is. I think it's the 2s and 3s where we kind of want to push it. We can go a couple more of these. We don't want too many 6 and 7 drops. We don't want people to be able to curve out. That's pretty good. I'm kind of happy with that. So there's 3-drop creatures in white. Let's see. I mean, let's just have a look at 3-drop creatures in white. And let's see what takes our fancy. So when you're building your own cube, this is kind of the stuff that you're going to be looking at. Do it in chunks. Stop. Look at it again. See where you have gaps and see what you think works. So yeah, we just from a curve point of view, like yes, there's the same amount of 3s and 4s, but we want more 3s than 4s. So we can go generic utility. We can go something like Lauren of the Third Path, or we can try and find something that kind of goes into decks. And I think that's what we're looking for now. We don't just want something generic. We want something that will go in our white decks. So Adeline, very solid card. I don't think that's what we're after. If we were doing more tokeny stuff, we could. We are definitely doing a bit more out there archetypes, which does make this a kind of a little bit trickier. Like when you're doing stuff like Boris's aggro, you know what I mean? You can kind of like just go a bit more like, oh, Adeline kills people, perfect. Ship that. We are doing a bit more niche, and that's kind of my own fault, but it's also I have more standard cubes. I'm looking for something like a multiplayer cube is something a bit more out there. So actually, talking of multiplayer, why don't we search for 3-drops that have multiplayer mechanics? That's a good shout. So, Myriad. Myriad, I think, could be quite fun. This is the only one. When it attacks, each event tap up to one target creature. Okay. I like Hammers of Moradin. 3 mana, 3/3 with Myriad, and when it attacks, for each opponent, tap up to one target creature that player controls. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think I like that. It is kind of quite control-y. Helps with the monarchy, that kind of stuff. I think that's pretty good. It's also on-rate creature, which we love. All right, what else is? Oh, sorry, we still have. It needs to have 3 power. Let's see what. There must be other 3 myriads. Okay, that's better. So we do have room for some more 4s. I think Battle Angels of Tyre might be quite good. 4 mana, 4/4 flying myriad. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card if that player has more cards in hand than each other player. Then you create a treasure if that treasure token if that player controls more lands than each other player. Then you gain 3 life. Yeah, that kind of it's a little bit of everything. I think I like this, and again, it's incentivizing people to attack. That is incredibly important. I want people to be attacking, please and thank you. All right, and also actually with so the tokens have the same names. So with your Hammers of Moradin. Quite cool if you put the Museum's Preparations on it. Each creature you control with the same name enters the battlefield with an additional +1 counter on it. The Myriad will have the same name and it will get the counter. That's pretty funny. Same with that with Archangels, with Battle Angels of Tyre is pretty vibey actually. That seems actually pretty strong. Another multiplayer mechanic is melee. Hello, small cat. Good to see you. Alright, what's in here? Not many we can run, actually, because we don't... I don't want Wings of the Guard, because that's just generically bad. Right, it looks like they didn't bring melee back much after this. That's fine. Let's... Meow. Monarch. Screw it. Let's see what else we've got. I think we already looked at this, but we know we need cheaper things. Not so much here. Small cat. What other multiplayer mechanics are there? Let's have a quick look at... Let's have a quick look at Battle Bond. That was a... Is it Daunted or something like that? That's the one where you can get people to pay extra mana. Right. Partner's quite funny. I like Partner from in this just from a deck buildy point of view. So if you have like it's incentivizing you to draft both Partner sections. Some random thing on. Yeah, there isn't. Okay, there isn't much in Battle Bond apparently. Okay. Right. So feather combat tricks. Let's just go back to this. Because I know we do appear a little light. Oh, we have some, but the deck really needs a lot of them. And so things like Ajani's Presence, that seems pretty good because it will scale up. Presence. Marvellous. Oh, is that Sort of Storm? Sort of Storm. Don't hate that. And no small cat. Lovely to see you. Swift Justice is a fun one. Today's Protection, I don't think we want that. That just seems a bit solid. Oh no, a bit too generically good. Right, so we do also want some sorceries. Not as much for this deck, just in general. Farewell is too annoying. Just resetting games is not where we are with this kind of stuff. We haven't really looked at any artifacts. What white artifacts could we run? So what have I got in other ones? So more of the Skyclaves I do quite like. Enter the battlefield, attach to creature you control. A creature gets +2/+2, flying and first strike. I don't think that doesn't work super well with feather. Let's add no. I've just said it doesn't work, so let's not do that. Let's just not add a card because I need a card. Let's add these three. Then have a look. So the threes are better so are the fours. So oddly, our ratio of like non-creatures is pretty good. Actually, white planeswalkers. We can add a white planeswalker. Again, for the control deck, stuff like that. If I'm honest with you, I think it's just it's creatures. That's what we need. 25 creatures in. I think it's short by at least 5. What are we doing? Planeswalker in white. This will be more for the control decks. More. Ooh, I like Elspeth Sun's Champion, but just the board wipe I think is going to be incredibly infuriating. Yeah, I don't want to board wipe on a Planeswalker. That seems a bit too good. What do we have? One of these Elspeths maybe. You gain 1 life for each creature you control. No, we're not doing life gain. Choose up to 1 target creature, put some counter on it against flying life. Okay, that might not be a terrible idea. So firstly, Gideon of Jura is just a solid one. But Gideon of the Trials, 3 mana. Until your next turn, prevent all damage that would be target opponent would deal. Gideon becomes a 4/4, and you get an emblem with as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker, you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win the game. That's quite a good control one. I don't hate that. This Gideon is just generally really good and very cheap, actually. Doesn't seem to seem multiplayer. That doesn't scream multiplayer, though, is the one thing with this. Is Chad still dead in Magic? Bring back my boy Gideon. Is that all the white planeswalkers? Okay. What one do I generically like? So some of them must target, I think. So Elspeth's Son's Nemesis, this one could be a good one. Up to 2 target creatures each gets +2/+1 till end of turn, so that will trigger heroic, that kind of stuff. Make some bodies, and then it can come back again. I think I like this one. It's also not a just, if left unchecked, will win you the game, but it will make you a lot of value. Elspeth's Son's Nemesis. Alright, so also for the feather deck, let's do prowess in white. I think we've already added the best prowess in white. In Monastery Mentor. Yeah, okay, that's it for that. Let's do Flurry from the new set. Is it Flurry or Fury or... not that much. Okay. What else? What else? So not Proud. Magecraft. Magecraft. I feel like I've got something on here that's just not showing me a bunch of cards, but this must just be it. I think we... Did we add the Light Scribe? I think we did. Okay, that's something. Right. Right. Let's go back to this deck and let's see what else we have. Because I feel of all of them, this is the one that is a little light. So we haven't really looked at auras, and I don't overly like auras in multiplayer formats just because I think the creatures will just die a bit too easily. I think we're in a solid place. Let's add Light Shield Parry. I think I like this one. I like that it has cycling. It means that it can just go in any deck as a bit of filtering as well. Rebellious Strike is quite a lot of power. Rebellious Strike. Get in. We'll have a conversation about Sunforger. I think that could be quite fun. I do like Sunforger in games of Magic. Actually, Phalanx Leader can also get in. Is double white, but it puts a counter on all of your creatures, so you only need to do this once or twice to actually get a decent board state. That's quite vibey. I think we're in a decent place. We could just run generic bits. Like, Esper Sentinel is a bit of a generic card, but actually in this index where you are pumping up its power, that could be more fun. There are ways of putting counters on stuff. When we get to green, we will be finding a few more ways to put counters on things, just to go in the Watchwolf section. It's going to have a splash of counters, especially because of... what do you call it? I lost my cat. Because of Golgari being counters. I need to pay more attention to these cards. There's a bunch of these printed that I just hadn't really seen. I think Bridgeon gets in. When you target a spell that counters it, put a counter on it and remove a counter from it. Actually, no. I'm just kind of talking myself into just adding cards because I think we need some cards. Let's get these in and then we'll review, because we are very close. We're in kind of the final sections for white. I'll probably rename this episode finishing off white, because 54 we are only probably about 5 cards away from being actually pretty solid, if I'm honest with you. And if we want multiples, that could be just how we actually finish this off, of just like what cards in here would be good as multiples for our conspiracies. That's actually a nice way of finishing off for today. So I think we want it to be one of these combat tricks. We want multiples of these combat tricks, actually. What is the best one for multiplayer? That kind of multiple decks wants. It might be... Kazan's just a bit strong. It's probably going to be a 1-mana one, or one of these creatures. I think it might be this. Is it this? Target creature super long gains flying till end of turn. So I'm thinking how we do this is we have 3 creatures, and then we have like 2 ofs of another thing. So because actually it might be these, because with stuff like Echoing Boon, you can name the instant side, but with Secrets of Summoning, you can name the creature side. And Fairy Guide Mother could be quite strong as like you give it like turn it into a Llanowar, like to turn it into a Birds of Paradise. That's quite interesting, actually. Oh, my arm is going to sleep. So I think that's what we'll do. We have a minute or two left. Let's just pick a couple that I think could be... I want them to be cheap. I think let's go... I'm just looking at Giant. Giant Collector good. I think having multiples of the common ones makes sense. So I think let's go... Let's go Fairy Guide Mother. Let's add a second Fairy Guide Mother. This works quite nicely, yeah, with our conspiracies. And it's just so this is kind of one of the things where conspiracies is quite good at, because we've got like this archetype isn't the deepest. We can double up some cards that go into it pretty nicely. So now if we have two Fairy Guide Mothers, if we get we now want one of these conspiracies a bit more. That's pretty good. Because now if we, like Summoner's Bond, if we cast the creature side, we can go and get... So we can cast the combat trick, then cast the creature, then go and get the combat trick again and put it into our hand, because they go into our hand. That's a nice little interaction. So I think we want this one. And... what else would we want a second one of? I think maybe... Actually, yeah, I like it being on... It being on... Adventures, I think, is really strong, actually. So screw it. Let's do Cheeky House Mouse for the time being. I think I like that. I think we're good. Okay. So, yeah. I think we're in a good place. We've got a decent selection. I think our curve looks pretty good as well. We've probably got about 5 more cards to add. I think about the 60 mark is kind of where we were aiming for, but we've got a bunch of white in there now. I think this looks pretty solid. Every deck has cards. What we'll probably do is I will tag these at some point, and then we'll review at some point in the future. Maybe for like the next episode, we're going to start filling in blue and do kind of like the other half of this. We're going to do a bit of self-mill. We'll do a bit more blitz, and we'll do a bit more miracle grow. But every kind of color has something in here, or every kind of archetype that for today has stuff in it. So I think we're in a good place. So that's where we're going to end it for today. Thank you all very much for watching. Yeah, let us know in the chat any suggestions, any changes you think you would make. This one was a bit of a tricky one, just because again we're starting off with some archetypes that aren't the most like standard cube fare. If that makes sense, like Feather Combat Tricks. Watch Wolves and Cast from Exile Matters isn't the most standard of archetypes. It would have been way easier if we had gone with things like aggro and flyers, but that's kind of... I want this cube to be a bit different, and that's kind of the process that we're going through today. So hope people found that helpful, or gave you some ideas of processes to help you building your own cube. That's what we're going to end it for today. Thank you all very much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow, probably with a Commander deck. We'll probably do one more of these this week, because I do kind of want to get through this. Because I want to get it in paper and start drafting it. The sooner we build it, the sooner we can play it. But yeah, we'll catch you all tomorrow. Thank you all for being here. Much love. We'll catch you soon. Goodbye.